Why did men stop wearing fedora hats? For decades, the fedora was not a fashion accessory. It was a normal part of daily life. In the early 20th century, leaving the house without a hat was unusual for men. Photographs from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s show city streets filled with brims. Businessmen wore them. Laborers wore them. Politicians wore them. The fedora was not a statement. It was standard. Yet today, outside of formal events or costume settings, the fedora is rare. The disappearance was not sudden, and it was not caused by a single event. It was the result of changing transportation, shifting social norms, evolving fashion, and a redefinition of masculinity. To understand why men stopped wearing fedoras, it helps to understand why they wore them in the first place. Hats originally served practical purposes. Before modern infrastructure, cities were dirtier and less predictable. Horses filled streets. Industrial soot settled from the air. Weather protection mattered. A hat shielded against sun, rain, dust, and debris. It also helped retain warmth before widespread central heating. The fedora, with its soft felt construction and structured brim, balanced protection with flexibility. It could be shaped, tilted, and worn in multiple ways. It became associated with urban sophistication. By the early 1900s, hat wearing was also linked to etiquette. Removing a hat indoors signaled respect. Tipping a hat acknowledged greeting. These gestures were embedded in daily interaction. The hat was part of social language. But the environment that made hats necessary began to change. One of the biggest shifts was transportation. As automobiles replaced open carriages, the need for wide-brimmed hats declined. Early cars required protective headwear because they were open to the elements. Later models had enclosed cabins. Sitting inside a car with a large hat became inconvenient. Rooflines were lower. Headroom was limited. Removing a hat before entering a vehicle became routine. Over time, the habit weakened. Architecture also evolved. Indoor heating improved. Covered walkways expanded. People moved more quickly between climate-controlled spaces. Protection from weather became less urgent. Practical necessity faded. Cultural change followed. After World War II, fashion trends shifted toward informality. The 1950s and 60s emphasized youth culture and rebellion against rigid dress codes. Younger generations rejected some of the formal traditions associated with their parents. Hats, especially structured felt hats like fedoras, became symbols of an older era. Simpler hairstyles gained popularity. The rise of casual wear reduced the expectation of headwear. Hair itself became a visible style element, diminishing the desire to cover it. There is also a common myth that one speech or one public figure ended hat culture. In reality, no single moment caused the decline. It was gradual. As fewer men wore hats, the social expectation weakened. Once hat wearing was no longer assumed, individuals stopped feeling obligated. Fashion often changes this way. A norm fades quietly until it feels outdated. Media influence played a secondary role. By the late 20th century, the fedora became strongly associated with specific archetypes: classic Hollywood detectives, gangsters, or certain retro styles. Instead of blending into everyday fashion, it became costume-like. When an item shifts from ordinary to symbolic, its daily practicality often disappears. Interestingly, the fedora never fully vanished. It reappears in cycles. Designers revive it periodically. Celebrities wear it for aesthetic effect. But it no longer functions as a universal accessory. It is a choice rather than an expectation. The deeper reason men stopped wearing fedoras is not that hats became unfashionable overnight. It is that the conditions that made them necessary changed. Transportation improved. Indoor environments stabilized. Social codes relaxed. And once the practical reason weakened, cultural meaning shifted with it. The fedora moved from everyday necessity to nostalgic statement. If you found this explanation interesting, the next story explores another everyday item that quietly disappeared as technology changed the world around it. Click on the channel to discover more untold stories behind simple things.